Alrighty, how you going? So we've got these side steps. Old mate wants me to put these side steps on his D40, and they don't fit properly. They're about a 90-95% fit. Problem is, when you get to a certain point, you can't turn the step to make it flat or even with the rest of the vehicle. I'm not too sure if these came off a 300 series or another Navara. They were sold as for Navara D40, but like I said, they're not an exact fit, so they came off something else. Reason being is because when you got the bolts in here, the bolt was hard up here, and when you're trying to turn this part of the mount here, stops you from being able to turn the step just that little bit further so you can make it square with the rest of the car. And also, on the other side, this side here, that there sits it when it bolts in, it's really high, and this one here is not lined up. So I'm going to cut these slices. I'm going to cut a couple of slices here so it makes the front fully adjustable, and I'm going to cut that part of the mount there off, and that should allow us to fit this side step onto this Navara. There's also one other thing. This front part here, when I'm mounting it up, wasn't coming to the chassis. So that's a challenge that when we get to that point, I'll bolt it up and we'll have a look what's going on there. Okay, just showing you up close here. So this is going to allow me to be able to adjust it this way and that way, because before that wasn't allowing me to go far enough that way, and this can now go up and down because it was just a little bit before. I couldn't go just that down that tiny bit. I could have probably drilled bigger holes in the centers to make that, say, 3 to 5 mil difference, but it's just easier this way. And once that's all bolted on, it's going to be strong enough, because this bolt's going to stop it from sliding in, that bolt's going to stop it from sliding side to side. It's going to be more than strong enough. I've taken off side steps off other cars that has just basically got soft tappets in them, so when you've got big strong bolts holding this in, that's overkill, but it'll be fine. Nothing needs to be changed in the center because that's going to allow the tilt, so that's fine. And now with this out of the way, so it's not pushing against the body, because that's how you try and turn it, and it'll push against the body, against the chassis, and you couldn't adjust the front at all. Once this was on and the bolts in, the bolts would be where they were, and that would be stopping it from moving. So now that's out of the way, I can do adjustable on the back, and we should be right to go. So I'll put this on and give you a look. Okay, so we'll go over these rear bolts. We'll go over these rear bolts first. Now you can see how this mount here, it doesn't want to sit underneath the chassis. That is a major problem with these mounting up. So that's, you get that part of the mount that goes underneath out of the way. There's no bolt hole there anyway for it to bolt onto, so that can be out of the way, and that gives me the clearance to go up and down with. And I had to first put this bolt in. Doing it by yourself is a bit tricky, and the camera keep on changing focus while I'm trying to point at things is a pain in the ass. Anyway, so I had to get that bolt in first, and then come around to the front and bring the front up, and then put the center mount in. And now here's the center one. Now to get this high enough, I've had to use a trolley jack just to lift the mount up high enough so the top can screw in. And I've used a screwdriver, you can see the lines up there. I used a screwdriver to just pull those fuel lines and everything up a bit, so I can get the bolt underneath them. And so that's ready to go in. Now this one here, you can see how strong that mount is. That alone is strong enough to carry this whole step. So I wouldn't worry about the front where I'm about to get to and explain it to you, not being mounted properly, because this here, the back there being as strong as that, and the middle one as strong as that, the front one is not really. I mean, I could just leave it not bolted and it'll still be just as good. Anyway, if you really want to go on the overkill, this bottom one is mounted in, and it's pressed up against this part here, the lip, so it can't go, or it shouldn't go any further that way. But you can see the side step here, there's a good centimetre gap between there. Now if I really wanted to, I can make up a spacer to go between there, so I can put this bolt in that's supposed to go up top there and bolt that in. I'm not going to. I'm just going to do that bottom bolt only, and sort the step out, because it is sitting. Keep on shaking while I'm trying to hold the camera. Sorry about that. All right, I'll get into tightening this up and giving you a look. Okay, so I hope you can see this, but see how the back still sits a little bit lower. So I'm going to zoom in on that. Still sits a little bit lower. You can see the bottom of the door there, and then it goes to the underneath the door around that curvature there. And if you see the front, you can't see that same area. See how the step sits a little bit higher. So now it's a matter of adjusting it. So I'm going to put a jack underneath the back there, and try and push the back up, and the front's going to drop down, which means I'm going to need a spacer for that bolt that I've got in there. Okay, well, we'll master this yet. Okay, so that's all bolted up and done now, and I'm happy with that. Now I could get a little bit more picky, and I'll show you why in a second, but see how the back is now squared up with the front. Much better looking. The other thing that is different about this is that it's closer to the body here and closer to the body at the front than it is in the center. So again, it's another design. It's definitely not meant for a D40. If I wanted to square the distance between here up with the center, I would have to put spacers behind here, and you can see if I left that other mount on, it doesn't square up. So the bottom had to be cut away for this to get high enough, so you can adjust the top there, and it pulls into the body just a little bit more than the center does. So like I said, if I wanted to use spacers, I could square that up, but it just makes it nice and tight, and it's nice and firm now. I'll get the other side done. Probably should show you this part here. Before it all gets tightened up, it sits to about there. Once you tighten it up, it brings it right in. So that's the front there. I'm going to show you this underneath again, just for good measure. So that's tightened up, and you can see how that sits there. So I didn't really need to cut away that part there, but it does make it for more adjustment. It does make it more adjustable, but probably didn't need to cut that one. Not that it's going to affect anything. Like, there's a space there, but that's basically just to give the front a bit of support. It's not really holding, not really doing much more than that. It's like I said, the center one is doing all the work, and it's nice and thick. So we're going to leave it like that, and we'll get to the other side. Okay, so I've got this other side. If only this stupid P20 Pro would focus all the time. What a shitty phone. Not the best phone in the world, I tell you. Anyway, so with the putting it in by yourself, this would definitely be a lot easier if you had someone to help you. But putting it in by myself, first I do the top bolt there at the back again, same as I did on the other side. So I'll be able to line that up soon. And I've got the one bolt in the front. Now I didn't do the cuts like I did on the other side. I'm only going to do that one bolt there at the front. So I think that should be fine without having to do those cuts. So we can skip that stage if you're doing the same thing. But be mindful that, you know, your side steps might be a little bit different again to these ones, and you make the changes where you need be. You know, nothing's impossible. So on this side here, so there's center mount that's pushing against the lines here that go to the tail lights. So I just need to get that clip out, push it up, so the mount can sit flush against the chassis there. That'll be fine. And I don't think I need to worry about cable tying it back down, but if I think it's a little bit loose, I will. Anyway, I'll get into that. We'll get this on and we'll go over it. Okay, we'll start off the center mount. These are on now. So you can see the that line just pushed up over there, and it's fine. The bolt goes underneath there. Kind of make that out. Now this mount here is different to the other side. Now you can see the other side there, how it's like a U-bolt type mount that goes around the chassis there. This one here is a plate for a good reason, because it's got to go between that there. I'm not too sure what that there is. I'll get a better look. Okay, splash guard that protects fuel lines. I thought the fuel lines were on the other side, must be brake lines. That's fuel. Okay, so you got the splash guard there and there, so it goes up underneath there. I'll try and get underneath there for you so you can have a look. There you go. So it goes up in between there and around, so that's all mounted on, that's all squared up. In the back, same deal. It's not going to allow the back mounting to go on there, but the front is okay. Now if you really wanted to have that extra support at the front, because you see you've got that big space there still, so that's if you're facing the same, this is basically if you've got the same problem, like you've bought some side steps that you thought were for a D40 and they're not. You can see that big space there, that's not going to work out unless I put a spacer in between. And maybe these steps are supposed to have a spacer in between because they were bought second hand. Anyhow, for good measure, if you really wanted to, you could drill a nice say 10mm hole there and run a bolt through on both sides to give that extra support at the front there, and that'll be no different to having it going the other way that it was, but it's not needed. It's plenty strong enough. So I'll give you a look now on the outside. Okay, so that's on the outside there, and that's pretty squared there, so this side was a lot easier to do than the other side. Anyhow, that's nice and strong, it's not going anywhere. I've seen weaker builds than that and been plenty strong enough to handle people stepping on it, where it's just like I said earlier, there's just a couple of self tappets holding the mounts on, and there's a step, and you know, it seems to be strong enough to hold people stepping on it. So this is just completely overkill. Anyhow, I hope what I've done here today has helped someone out before they decide to put the side steps on. They know what's involved and can get stuck into it. Alrighty, so just one more look on the other side. Beautiful. Alrighty, till next time guys, cheers.